Hi guys, Ru here, how you doing? Welcome to our new course, Max with add-ons. Couldn't be better than that. Let's go. So we need a cube, right? Because everything starts with the cube. In fact, no, I lied. Everything starts with screencast keys these days. There we go. Then the cube. So now we need a head, right? So let's scale it. You can hold control to snap it and do something like this. And let's extend it here, so E and G and move it down, and R and rotate it a little bit, so kind of like this, and extend it here, in fact a bit more, so G, Y, and drop it down, something like that, should be fine. And now let's rotate these two a little bit, like that, and should be fine. So you select them with Alt, yeah, make sure you select everything. And you should have to be in orthographic mode, otherwise, this might not work. So let's now actually rotate the whole thing. So select this shape, R, and hold control and stop it once. Let's move it up a little bit so it's easier to manipulate, see things. Scale this face a little bit, okay, and, create a mean face, okay. And let's grab this one and scale it too, and I don't know, maybe extend it a little bit here and scale it kind of like this. These I think are too close to one another, so GY and move it here, and GY and move it here. Now I want to make this taller, so I'm going to GZ this, okay, to do something like that, okay. Even taller than this, something like this, okay? Now, from the front, what we want from the front is definitely a wide top, right? So, just go here and SX scale this. But in fact, I want the whole thing to be a bit wider, I think, So, although, yeah, a bit, just a bit, like that. And apply the scale again, and let's chamfer these, right? So let's chamfer them, go to front view and see how we're looking. And this is actually not deep enough, so GZ and move it up, see how we're looking. Looking pretty good, but we still need to move it a little bit higher. So GZ and move it higher. Don't worry about the face deformation, we will fix it in a bit. Now the problem is that I really want this bottom to be a bit more aggressive. This is too... yeah, see, now you're talking something like this here. Okay. So, and this one should be narrower. In fact, like this narrower, and this top should be narrower, the edge here a little bit like this, okay, something like that. That's pretty cool. Alright, narrower than this I think, so a bit more narrow like that. Nice. I think that this one is a little bit too, this face gonna be distorted, but it doesn't matter because we're just gonna simply slice it later, right? So let's actually sharpen this, which will do nothing. And we need to change the angle. Sharpness 30 should work actually, so if it doesn't, run mark sharp manually. So come on, like this, there you go, okay, that should do it. So now we got more or less the shape. Let's actually make it a bit longer like this, okay. And let's go to N-gun and let's slice it. Now, if the N-gun doesn't snap into angles, what you want to do is go here and enable N-gun, angle lock, which will enable your N-gun to snap into increments like this. And when you hold control, it will release it. So I wanna, I wanna cut this face here like that. Okay. So there's an aggressive angle here and similar kind of in here, okay, so something like this. And I'm gonna apply this. And in fact, I could actually rotate it one more time like this and Maybe move it slightly here. This one, you know, this one is, I think, a little bit too short. Should be a bit longer. This one could be actually rotated this way, and this one could be rotated a bit more this way, and this could be actually longer as well. These proportions are a really touch and feel kind of thing. Maybe a bit higher, and then we're gonna cut it, you know. Let's actually cut it here. Kinda, it's too shallow. Something like this. And like this here maybe, and then down. Cut something like this. There you go. And then we're gonna make another cut from the top. So, and before we do anything, let's actually straighten these loops. These loops, they're not really straight, are they? I think it's because of the mirror. So let's apply the mirror and remove the middle edge, and everything is fixed. Now let's grab this shape, and you know, when you look from the top, right, what you want to do is we want to cut it in here, but before we do, we actually need to make it bigger. So let's make it bigger, and let's make it wider, because I want it wider a bit, you know, a bit fatter. So kind of mean killing machine, if you know what I mean. So that's the one. And let me think, this is, maybe this top is a little bit too wide, so we could narrow down the top, which will open these chamfers. It's gonna look pretty cool. We could actually drop these down a bit, you know, like that. There you go. And actually open these ones, so, you know, do something like that. Okay, and maybe actually move them up a bit. So GZ and move them up a bit, like this. There we go. This one is still too, you know, too low. GZ and move it up. Yeah, something like this. Maybe that's too high. Something like that, maybe. Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna cut it from the top. I'm gonna hold Control and just slice it here. In fact, maybe I could go, yeah, you know, this one is fine. So somewhere here, like this, and here, and like that. And this is gonna be probably a bit too deep, but that's okay. So slash it. And I think we need to make it longer, all of it. So just extend it. There we go. And now let's recall this cutter, right? And move it backwards. So one more time. There you go. And G and Y, and move it just a little bit back, kind of somewhere here, and inside a bit. Now this will introduce a problem, which can be easily fixed, because we need to move this one in here, and this one in here, and this one in here. Okay. Yeah, that's actually not too terrible. In fact, you know what? Looking from the side, maybe we can move it a little bit to the front. Just a little bit. Okay. And now let's cut this one. Okay, so we're gonna cut it like this. Hold Control, and we need to go deeper, so something like this, and bevel, and slush. And now we're gonna recall the cutter, slush this one as well, and now we can actually adjust the shape. So go to front. Now you can see this bevel is way too big, so we need to make it smaller, because it's actually encroaching on our cut. so on this edge here, which is not really ideal. So you want this bevel to be smaller, right? So let's make it smaller, something like this. Okay, how are we looking? Yeah, we're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good. This should be a bit more to the back. So select this one and move it to the back so the angle opens over there. There you go. That's probably a bit better. And let me see now. This cut probably should be above the other one. So let's see. Boolean, boolean, boolean. Let's see that. That's the main cut. Right. Let's apply with the normals. And here too. And apply a bevel. And apply a bevel. Okay. See how we're looking. We're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good. What is this? The cutter is not too deep, probably. There we go. So I just make it larger and everything is happy. Okay, so I got one cut, second cut, and this is pretty cool. Now this cut should be, I think, a bit more aggressive. So where is it? This one, right? Should be a bit more aggressive. So let's actually move it forward a bit and, you know, somewhere here. There you go. This should work. Is it not too deep? No, I think it's a bit too deep. So maybe that's actually pretty cool here. Concepting face is not easy, guys. There's so many things you can, you know, change and consider and think before you actually, you know, apply and commit to a shape. Another thing that I'm thinking is that this shape is a little bit not, you know, it's too shallow. It should be a bit deeper, more aggressive inside. And this should be actually somewhere here. There we go. That's much better, I think. Okay. Alright. Now we need one more cut here. So, oh, wait a minute. What happened to this cutter? There we go. It's just hidden. So, I thought we have this cut, right? So all we need to do is simply re-enable it. So re-enable this one and everyone is happy, right? So now let's mirror everything to the other side. And we should be good to go. Right. Okay. Alright, so more or less we good. More or less we good. This is pretty cool. The front, you know, the front I'm thinking, this one. Maybe we're gonna move it like that. And what if you move this one inside? Oh, that's pretty interesting, right? Somewhere here. There you go. Oh yeah, see, now we're talking. Got this aggressive, like an inset or something. Or you know, this could actually imitate the eyes. So what we could do is bring this one deeper, like that. Let me see this now. Oh, that's pretty cool actually, I like that. Alright, cool. I always need to think a few steps ahead. So now what we need would be a neck. Right, so let's design one more thing in this video. So let's grab a neck and, you know, before we do anything, actually should save it. So I'm gonna save it to my folder and at the same time I'm gonna run autosave. Now, if you run autosave, you need to remember to enable autosave to copy, otherwise your autosave will gonna overwrite the main file. So power save, which will create a consecutive file C5 meg2. Great. Now, let me think. This should be way bigger, okay, and you know, kind of longer, and it should go somewhere here and be taller. And that's a bit too tall, but that's okay. Something like this, and we can cut it, you know, like this with an angle. And definitely need to make it small, I mean narrower. So let me think. So this is going to be a neck, which in my opinion should go wider towards the bottom, right? Like in real life, and you know, something like this in my opinion would be cool. And or you know what, we could do this later. Maybe it's gonna be even more interesting. Or we could carve it, you know, like we could carve it like this. So follow these lines here and carve it like this. Even with a bevel, you know, kind of like that. Could be interesting. And then carve it here. In fact, let's do something like this. And let's cut a neck in here. There we go. This neck needs a little bit of work because this one is a little bit too, how shall I put it? This curve is not aggressive enough here. There we go. That's much better. Also, this one should go lower, or like this, and the whole shape could be higher, ending just somewhere here. In fact, you know, this cut could be a little bit shallower, so go this way, like that. There we go. Right, so the neck pops from here, somewhere, and I think it should be more round, you know. Kind of like this or something. Yeah, this is too steep. There you go. Something like this. Whoops. Alt H. Oh, we hit the collection. There you go. If you press 1 or 2, you're gonna hide and reveal collection here. See? So this would be it, and now we need something here, which could be simply something like this. Okay, and yeah, that's not good. That's not interesting enough. So that's that, and on top of this, we will need some kind of a shelling. So let's apply sharpen here, and let's grab this, and let's in fact turn up the pass through and curve extract this outside, okay? And this will create an interesting shape here. So let's see what we can do. What we can do is, alright, this is, you need to solidify this first. And then we can grab these faces and SX0, which will flatten them on this axis. This is gonna be an absolute disaster, but it's not a problem because we're gonna cut it again. Yeah, so don't worry about it. We're going to slice it again here like this, right? So bevel, a bit more steep bevel, like this, and just slice. Oh, did we slice the wrong thing? Yeah, we did. One more time. So here, here, and slice it. And let's move it a little bit to this side. Let's move it in here. It's back with a path through, so we can select both. And you know, I want to make this one a bit deeper, okay? So I want to make this a bit deeper, and in fact this one too, just a bit deeper. So this bevel will need to adjust accordingly. Now if you go into bring this one lower, you see, this whole angle will change here, which is actually kind of cool. So that's pretty, yes, it's pretty interesting. And now we can cut this one, right? So let me see, this should be somewhere here, like this. Okay, boom. How are we looking? We're looking pretty peachy, we're looking pretty peachy. Now, what I would like to do, you know, is maintain this angle here. I kind of like it. So, in fact, what I might do, you know, instead of this, change my mind, okay? Instead of this rubbish, let's do it again. Let's just grab a cube. I don't like the shape. I changed my mind. And let's make it narrower. Like this. Good. And let's Alt-H so we can see the cutters. And this cutter is perfectly fine. So let's make it narrower and bring it up a bit. Okay, so let's cut this one. And now, you know, maybe it's a bit too crazy. So let's bring. Oh wait, this is a wrong cut. This one. Sorry. There we go. That's the one. And you know, we can grab. In fact, this one was fine. I mean, no problem. Then, you know, let's actually hide the cutters. So Shift 2. And you know, this one is a bit of trimming, right? So let's just trim it, you know, like here, so it doesn't stick above the head. There. Now let's save this. And now we're gonna create a neck from this one. So we're in fact what we're going to do is let's grab these two, okay, and Shift D, right, and M, and new collection and backup. And we're gonna create a backup, okay, and we're gonna turn this thing off, and as traditionally we're going to enable this function here, the render icon, and disable it in renders because you don't want backup in your renders, right? So that's a bad idea. Okay, now what we can do now is grab these this one, and we can actually apply, select both of them and go to operations and smart apply. Select this one, which will by the way apply modifiers including the mirrors, except for bevels and weighted normals. Now what we want these. So there are two ways of doing it, right? What we could do is simply do this. So Shift click on Smart Extract and extract it downwards. Or you could use Shift D and, you know, do it this way. Either of them will work. I mean, to be honest, they will both have issues, but we're gonna cut this one, so don't worry about it. These ones we can merge, which is fine, and we can add the edge here. So this edge here, right? So let's merge them together, and there is no edge in here. All right, I have to apply this. So this edge needs to be sharpened, right? So it follows this sort of a curvature in here, right? But we're gonna do something cool, which means we're gonna actually break it. Meaning, so let's grab this shape on top. Come on, this one. And what's going on here? Yeah, we need to fix this a little bit. Give me 1 second because there's some mess in here. It needs fixing. There we go, and sharpen it. Perfect. Now, what we're gonna do is introduce some loop in here, and we're going to actually move it. So we're gonna select this one and the one on the other side, and move it on the y-axis. So we're going to break it, okay? And we're gonna do the same thing from this side. So break it on y-axis, right? And now we're going to cut it. So we're gonna cut it in here. Actually, you can recall these cutters again. Where are those? Not this one. This one, right? Just cut it and make it, wider. There we go. So now let's see if it's working. Shift 2. Come on. Oh, it's Shift 3. Sorry. Now back up, jump to the top. And let's see. This might be a bit too aggressive, We might actually move it a little bit back. Or maybe do something like, no, that's not gonna fit. Something like this could be good. Maybe this is not the best idea here. Let's select both of them and select these. And I have an idea. Let's grab these and SY0. Whoa. SY0. There we go. And then we're going to actually move this one differently. So we're gonna move this one first. So move it on Y to this place. And this one, we're gonna move it to the front. Kind of like this. There we go. That's pretty cool, I think. And this, this really should be deeper here somewhere. So let's select these and GY and move them down here. Is it working with the middle one? There we go. GY and move it down here. How are we looking? Interesting. GY and move it in here. That's pretty cool. This needs to be a bit more aggressively cut. There we go. Same as this one. So we're gonna select both of them. Yeah, this will do. Okay. Nice. And this one needs to go probably something like this. And then we're gonna think about what to do with it. Maybe. In a few. In fact, we could cut both of them at the same time, Something like this, maybe. There you go. This should work. Okay. So that would be the neck, but this neck is a little bit too feeble for my liking, It's just not enough width, I think. So what I might do is move this one to the front. So this one, GY, and move it to the front. Somewhere here. And maybe open this angle a little bit. Something like this. Yeah, it looks a bit more interesting. How are we looking on the sides? So the sides are a little bit crazy, so we're going to narrow this down a bit. So let's turn off this pass through, go to front view, GX, and move it inside. In fact, we can go to bottom view and GX and move it inside. Something is not moving here. Right. So we can actually combine this, or we simply apply this cut and combine these two edges and make it sharp and select these both, and one more time from the bottom, GX, and move it in. And this should be interesting, yeah. See, this cut here is gonna create an interesting, like an aggressive indentation. I still think this neck is a little bit too soft, maybe, or maybe I'm seeing things. This could be actually rounder, so, you know, kind of like this. And before we do that, maybe we could actually round up this one. So let's grab both of them and let's see if we could do both of them. So let's apply this one. This one actually is wider than this. So what we can do before we start, we can duplicate this, right? No, not this one. Duplicate this neck, okay? And Shift D, right? Make it larger on y-axis, okay? And select this and simply difference, okay? What it will do, it will get rid of all the overlap between these two elements, okay? And sharpen. And there's some interesting problem in here. Select all three and press 1. Wait a minute. Oh, I need to connect it in here, right? And then select this 3 and press 1. There you go. And this could be sharpened. Although I don't think it has to be sharpened because the flat face, meaning we could probably connect these two. There we go. Alright, so now we got those two, right? Meaning we can select them both and grab these two and bevel them at the same time, like this, okay? And then we can bevel this one, so come on. We could run an edge here with a knife, right? So here and maybe here. Oh, this makes sense. I don't know. Let's see. Let's grab this one, go to the front view and GX and move it outside. Yeah, I don't think so. What it could work actually, it could be this, you know, something like that. And bevel the top, but gently, and slice something like this. Now this could work, right? So what we need to do is sharpen this and apply sharpen to this edge. And remove this edge. There you go. That's actually quite interesting. I like that. So to the other side, and this would be our head more or less. We can of course cut this one evenly and resharpen this. The reason why we need to resharpen is that these angles are simply at different. The angle is not steep enough for the sharpen to actually capture. Because sharpen, if you look here, right, works at 30 degrees or more, which means if the angle is lower than that, sharpen will literally not work. So that's the reason why when you resharpen it, this edge is going to get lost. So let's bevel this a little bit, just a bit. See, same with bevel, you see this bevel here, because don't bother with the overlapping, but we're losing the bevel here because the bevel is set to angle. But now if I'm going to switch it to bevel weight, right, boom, see, it gets fixed because the angle here is just simply way too shallow for the bevel to catch it, you know? And these edges here are way too close to one another to coexist in a bevel situation as well. So we might need to combine them. So Shift 1, Will this work? Not really. Drop it down, or shift 1, drop it down a little bit. Yeah, this bevel is just too big. We need to, make it a bit smaller because literally it's too thick. Alright. So let's grab a bevel here too, and on this one. And this one needs some attention in terms of sharpening. So if you want to resharpen an object, you press Q and Control Shift and sharpen. But again, some of these edges will not get resharpened because, like I said, angles, right? So you need to do it, manually, right? You need to do it manually. So this could actually be moved in here, I think. Will this change anything? Well, it will change the shape a bit, to be honest. Fascinating. So let's combine these ones, and I don't think we need to sharpen here. We simply need to combine them, and we should be fine. Okay, right, nice. Okay guys, well, this will be a beginning of our head. In fact, this could be a little bit longer. Okay, like this, and we can slice it now and have a proper angle in here. So kind of like this, see? Yep, nice. And operations smart, operations smart apply. There you go, and mark sharp. Right. When you're running bevels, to be honest, you don't need to really mark sharp on these edges, right? But we need mark sharp on these edges, or at least a bevel weight. So technically we could remove all this sharpen, but it's easier to see the shape, So the sharpness, it doesn't really look amazing with bevels, but in this case it's fine. Let's turn our cavity so we can see the shape better, and also I recommend you turn on shadow as well. It just simply presents the form a bit deeper, and the readability is a bit better. We're looking good. We get this aggressive, kind of like a cobra-like snake from the front with kind of like interesting eyes. The profile looks really good. The backs look really strong. I like it. So we're off to the good start, and in the next part, what we're gonna do is, let's just mark sharp this one too. In next part, what we're gonna do is we're going to start working on the chest. Okay, this main part here, and then probably we're gonna move to other elements of this bot. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.